Now, if you've seen Chainsaw Man, you probably know Beam. He can swim through the ground and walls like a shark, almost like he's a shark. Huh. So when you make a shark fiend out of Roblox, what do you naturally do? Of course, you lock his core ability behind an hour of progression. Did not also mention they butchered it? Look, they have it last 5 seconds. 5! You can't go up walls, and they made blue water effects. Blue! I'm sorry, but when I watched the show, I didn't see any water effects while he was swimming through solid cement. When I read the manga, I didn't. I didn't see anything that looked like water. All that to be said, how can I make this better? No blue water effects! Actually, no effects at all, because I don't know how to do that. The next part explains how the code works, but if you really do not care or cannot understand it, just skip to here. You make this local script. It can be called whatever you want. First, you have actions. This connects to the inputs, play context, and collide. Now, what is this? It's input action. It's like context action service or like a user input service, except automated. So it's like a million times easier. You just input binding, and then you could do like F and then left shift. I'm not finding that, but you get it. And then all I have to do is when it's pressed or released, then it starts. The difference between some of them is state change. Now this is like an on and off thing. Like it's like while you're holding it, it's on, and if you're not holding it, it's automatically off. But pressed, it turns on once. Now in the actual part of the script, so you have all this. This could be in or out. I just chose inside. And is swimming is an attribute which is done when the player loads in. When the character appearance is loaded, add an attribute, and it's important for later. Give the collision group players. If it's turned off, then this turns it on. This goes here. On server event, I just named it after a Michael Jackson song. It could be really called whatever. Ask, hey, is that the same player that activated it? If not, then return end. And return end just means stop going. Stop the script. Different from continue end. Continue end, you put inside loops. And that makes it so the loop keeps going, but it skips that branch. If it is, then it defines the character. It sets the swimming to the setting. And you don't need to define the player because the player is automatically defined. So if setting is true, then it changes it to swimming. And if it's not, then it changes it to players. This is important because I have 2 players swimming in the default. I somehow slipped up my words there. What I meant to say was that I don't want a player swimming to be able to interact with a non-swimming player. So this separates these two while still letting the swimming player go through everything else. This just says make it start swimming. This makes it highlight. This adds the highlight. This is what like smooths it in. If I were to press play, see how it smoothly starts and smoothly stops? Local loop, this is defined as nothing because over here, it's done this. Render stepped, it's always on, which means even if the swimming is off, it'll keep on going, and you don't want that because then it'll make multiple of the same instance. So what do? You do loop disconnect. Except if you do local loop in here, then it won't know what you're talking about here. So then last part touched, this is making sure the player doesn't fall off. It can't go through the top or bottom without another part being there. If we test it, see how I can't go up, and I mean, I'm not going to go all the way down, but in theory it would work. But you can through walls, and you can't go there. This is due to this whole thing here. Last part touched is, as it says, the last part touched. This parameters, it excludes the player itself and anyone in the player's collision group. Then it finds if there's a body velocity in the root, then skip, but if there's not body velocity in the root, then add one with a max force of 10,000. So this says, if it doesn't find anything intersecting with the humanoid root part, because over here it says get parts in part, which means if anything is intersecting with that part, in this case the humanoid root part, doesn't equal nil, it'll make the body velocity the move direction times the humanoid walk speed. And then last part touched is that thing it's intersecting with. But if the first thing does equal nil, then it asks, is there no last part touched? Or is the parent of last part touched a character? Which it couldn't be, but just in case. This is mostly for like if it just starts and you press F while you're in air. If you were to go up here, and then we were to jump, See, if I didn't have that there, it would make you float. This says if it's above the size of the part, go down. If it's below the size of the part, go up. This is the loop disconnect. This goes from swimming to player. It basically does the opposite of everything. This is what it looks like. So I press F. I could essentially go through the ground. Only if I'm inside of a part though. If I go to the surface and press F again, it disables itself, and I could jump to it as well. So that's it. It's really basic, but I find it a lot better than Devil Hunter's version, especially since it doesn't have blue water. What were you thinking? Does it really take more than 2 seconds to go in and change the color to white and then make it opaque? It's not that hard. Just change it from blue to white and make it opaque. Or make it gray. Literally just anything that's not water.